friends, and welcome to another episode of Booked, a place to explore the realms of creativity. Today's guest is author Jessica Locke. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm all good, thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I love that little accent that you do sometimes. It's like your posh lady
I do
voice.
an accent? Now, what accent is this?
I don't know. You go, oh, hello. Really,
I think it's the Buckinghamshire coming out, isn't it?
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. It's been a long time since the first time we spoke when we first started talking about creating your feature for Indiosyncrasy. It's going to be a little while till the episode comes out, but I'm really glad that you took part in this. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
On a random stranger from the internet, which is a risky move, but I'm glad it's paying off.
Hey, have to live by risk, otherwise it's boring.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm not a particularly risky person. I'm quite a sleepy person, and I'm not lazy, but my body is. Like, my brain isn't lazy. My body is like Snorlax from Pokemon.
I totally get you. I think that's my spirit animal in truth.
So at some point we're going to talk about your books.
That's why we're here, isn't it?
That is why we're here, yes, because you are the author of quite a few titles now. So you predominantly, and correct me if I'm wrong, write sort of dark and risky romance books.
Yeah, I'd say that fits. I do write a couple of other bits, but yeah, predominantly there is the dark romance kind of genre that I've dived into without meaning to, but it has happened, and here we go.
You run with it. So what was the first sort of thing you wrote or published? Was it along those lines, or was it something else?
Okay, so first ever, I was like 8, and it was like a Pocahontas fanfiction.
Oh, I love that.
So, no. But weirdly, I found a manuscript when I was about 12 that was about mafia.
No kidding.
It was just like, oh, right, I've always been destined to do this, clearly. It was rubbish, don't get me wrong. I was 12. But yeah, so apparently it's always been meant to be.
Amazing. It was written in the stars. So, okay,
Yeah.
so you found this manuscript. Have you worked from that to create anything that you have today?
Oh, no, I found it after I published.
That's even cooler.
Serrano. Yeah. I was digging through and found an old notebook. I was like, and it had like, do you remember that when we were teenagers there was that S thing everyone was doing?
Yeah, the cool funky S.
Yeah, the cool funky S. It had one of those in the front with Seiko, like Psycho, but Seiko. And I was like, what?
Wow.
And yeah, it was a whole really bad not romance, just novel about a crime family in my home village, which is actually what Serrano is. But anyway,
I did wonder. We're gonna dive into Serrano in a second. So was Serrano the first like novel that you published?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and when was that? Was it 2021?
I think it was the back end of 2020.
Okay,
I could be wrong. I can't remember.
I could be wrong.
Who knows? Ago.
I'm not good at remembering anything, and although I've made notes for this podcast episode, I can't guarantee that they're correct. So this show is for entertainment purposes, not to be used as a factual reference for academic articles or such like.
This is not academic, people.
So 2020 to 2021, I'm going to go with your date, 2020.
It was 2020. I've just gone on Amazon just to make sure.
Amazing. Came out in 2020, so we're in 2025 now, and you've since published a number of other books as well. So you have the Crown trilogy, which starts off with Serrano, and I read this and finished it probably 3 days ago.
Fair enough.
And I don't normally enjoy romancy things, as we said before recording. I don't like feelings and stuff. I love feelings. I love people. I love emotions. I don't like feeling the feelings.
I hate feelings. They're so mushy.
Which is funny because you put quite a lot of feelings in the book, which is hilarious to me, and we can dissect that in a moment. But
I'm just a clusterfuck. Let's face it.
All creative people are a little bit.
That is a good point.
We have to say. Yeah, so don't worry about it. It's okay.
It's all good.
Um, but yeah, I found it really interesting. It was a story I've not, the type of story I've not read before. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? I read it in like 2 days, I think. I read the first 75% of it, I think, in one night, and then the
It's
last
good
the night
going.
after. So it was interesting. There was lots of like, okay, what's going to happen next? And there's like betrayal, and it's quite saucy.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't. I don't read the blurbs of books that I read for these because I don't want to have any like
that makes
preconceptions of
sense.
what it's
Yeah.
going to be like. And I was like, God damn, because I don't normally read spicy things, so it was very interesting. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. Oh, they're doing it again. So that was entertaining in itself. So my question to you about that is, do you read the types of books that you write?
I do. Yeah, I'm a total just holiday romance type dark person. Like I don't want
Interesting.
anything that makes my brain hurt. I probably shouldn't say that, but you know, I am totally educated and like really love things that make brain hurt, but I'm not. I have a really hard job, and when I read, I just want to read and dive into a story and not have to think too
Mhm,
hard. And that's kind of what I've written. It's something you can just dive into,
mhm,
leave the real world behind, because
mhm,
let's face it, the boyfriends in books are not what we actually want to read in real life.
mhm.
Not read. Me.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
You don't want to experience the book boyfriends in real life because let's face it, they're dicks. But
Right.
you do want it in a bit of a page turner
Yeah.
because it's a fantasy. You're safe.
It
It's in
is.
books. You don't have to like live it.
Well, this is it because I completely get the appeal of reading the fantastical in every aspect.
Yeah,
So whether it's like this unbelievable stalkery romance, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not going to pretend like it is, but it's
that's fair.
also like, okay, I get that because you live in the fantasy. But if that faced you, if somebody came to your window in the middle of the night and tapped a knife on the window, you call the police. You wouldn't
You
invite
ain't.
them in for a
Yeah, you're
drink.
not going to be falling in love with that dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't feel I dive into it that hard
No, no, no.
because I do kind of do like there's dark romances out there that are like make me feel uncomfortable. I do try and err on the toe dipping of dark fantasy,
That's
dark
it.
romance.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's the you know you want to dabble in it, but you don't want to have knives and guns to your head.
You do a really good job of it being like fairly realistic, like, okay, that might actually happen to someone.
Yeah,
But it's also just that little step forward where you're like, it's not really going to happen to anyone, though, is it?
no,
Because it's very. I don't want to spoil anything.
I don't want to say it's cliche, but
Mm-hmm.
meeting a dark and handsome stranger in your
Oh.
local pub, that ain't gonna happen in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I worked at the pub that it's based in.
I thought you did. It felt like you
Yeah.
did. When I was reading it, I was like, this is Jessica fulfilling a
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah, totally. So there is an element, although no, characters are based on real people. I have to do
Mm-hmm.
that disclaimer. The
Mm-hmm.
pub is based on a real pub,
That's
and
cool.
it was somewhere that I drank totally at 18,
Mm-hmm. Definitely
and
18,
for
that which is the
for
legal
yeah,
age in England.
I was going to
Just
say
yep.
for England, it's the legal age. I was 100% 18. I didn't have to show my ID on the after about a year of going there when I turned 18. Um, and and yeah, and it was one day I was drinking behind the bar and he was struggling, the landlord, and I was like, I can do it. And he was like, have you ever pulled a pint before? I was like, nah, I can do it. And he let me.
Amazing.
And yeah, so the story of Soprano was it was during lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
as I think so many writers reanimated their passion for creation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of those people. Like I wrote, well, not Soprano, I did write a different book first that was a werewolf
Mm-hmm.
romance, and then was missing home, quite frankly, because obviously I
Mm-hmm.
now live in Yorkshire,
Yep.
but come from Buckinghamshire.
Mm-hmm.
And I was missing the little village I was brought up in. And it started as a werewolf fantasy.
Okay.
When I started writing it, it was going to be werewolves.
Huh.
And I was like, no, let's not do werewolves. Let's go away from the werewolves.
Okay.
And hell, what's similar to werewolves? Mafia.
Very similar.
Totally similar.
Yep. Scary
Yeah.
secret society of people doing stuff. I don't know
Totally.
about the mafia.
No, it's cool. No, so yeah, so it was right. What's similar to I will say there is a little bit in the book with the two individuals under the
Mhm.
lamppost, and she's looking out a window.
Mhm.
That was they were discussing werewolf related stuff originally,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
and it was like, and then I told myself, no, let's go away from werewolves. Let's try and take myself a little bit more seriously here. Clearly, mafia is more serious.
Deadly serious. That's scary.
And so I don't have experience with the mafia. I did work with criminals previously. I have worked with the probation service and things like that, limitedly. So, a little bit of experience there. Did forensic psychology at university, like everyone my age, it seems. Because we just seem to love criminals if you're between the ages of 30 and 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to blame Criminal Minds.
I'm going to blame them too. I'm also going
Yeah.
to blame the rise of true crime documentaries, of which I've watched everything on Netflix. I've run out of things to watch.
Yes, yeah. There was definitely a rise in that as well. So yeah, and Sovrano was born, and I don't really know how it happened, and then it got some traction and are published, and now we're 6 books in.
So, did you self-publish it?
I did, yeah.
So, did you sort of make a conscious decision to self-publish? Did you go down the querying route at all, or were you like, nah, I'm just getting this book out there?
No, so I did for the first book that I wrote and then didn't publish. But for dark romance, generally, a lot of publishers turn their nose up at it. A lot of agents do too. So I very much took the decision to just self-publish, did my research, did all the things you're supposed to do, and beta reading, editors, all that jazz. Yeah, and then it just kind of snowballed, really. And now I have made the conscious decision to self-pub everything because I am a control freak. And yeah, I just kind of was like, I want all the creative control. So bye publishers.
That does seem to be the very, very common characteristic of those who self-publish their work, especially writing in genres that aren't as widely accepted in the mainstream pathway.
It is quite common, really, as you say, particularly in the niches or the things that are less socially acceptable, let's say. Because at the end of the day, there's still people that want to read it. There's people
100%.
that devour this genre. And I love every single one of the dark romance readers because I think it just scratches an itch.
For sure. It's one of the it's like a forbidden escapism almost, isn't it? It's something that you would not want to actually have. I mean, some people would. I'm not going to speak for everybody. So you said that you did a lot of research and you sort of did all the things you're supposed to do. Is there anything that you have changed in your methods of sort of creating and publishing and marketing your books that you didn't do originally?
So not particularly. I mean, I probably market a little bit more now. And my marketing game has probably got a little bit better. I'm not saying it's good. It's got better. It's still shit, but it's better. And I do now use critique partners rather than just beta readers.
Okay.
Which is helpful. Yeah, I've mostly learned a lot more about marketing. I have learned like a little bit more around kind of good writing and things like that. And, because we're learning all the time. So there's definitely techniques of writing that I've learned since the first book.
Okay.
And quite frankly, there's probably bits of Sovrano that if I read now, I'd cringe and be like, oh my god, this is a pile of shit. I really shouldn't say that. I'm trying to make people read this thing.
But they'll know that the progression is there, and that's important to recognise that you are constantly learning as a writer, because nobody's ever going to be perfect. I mean, there are a handful of people that are, but they have teams and teams of people and a lot of zeros at the end of their contracts. Or they're just naturally just fantastic and don't need to work on anything, but it's very rare.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is very, very rare. Like, people that say that writers are born, yes, there's probably a couple of the writers that are born, and I think you do need creativity to start. But the craft is a craft. It's something you learn. It's something you improve. You tinker. I had some fantastic mentors when I first started out, which was great, which was other writers and authors. that had obviously published and were way further down the journey than I was, that really supported, Serrano to be better, but also for, like, as I say, Serrano wasn't actually my first book. My first book I shelved. So I learned a lot from the first book to the second book that I wrote. And I will state that although for some people the first book you write in the first draft is going to be perfect, likely it's not going to be, and that's okay. The one thing I promote quite heavily on my social media, because I do talk about the writing process a lot, is that your first draft is not for anyone else to read. And that is very true. Do not publish yourself with your first draft. Oh my god, please don't.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you meant like for people to look at.
No, as in, like your first draft, no one should read that or look at it.
Oh god, no.
Because it's going to be a pile of crap.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, you are blessed.
Blessed and highly favoured. It's taken me a while. I've still not published. I won't have published my book by the time this comes out, so I can safely say I've still not published this yet. But I'm still working on the first one, and then I got distracted by this project. Whether that was on purpose, I don't know. I think it was an inadvertent design of me just avoiding finishing this in case it's crap. I truly, truly believe in it, but it's one of those things where I was like, I'm just going to write a book and I'll publish it and it'll be fine. And then you deep dive into actually what is involved in creating and, selling a book, whether it be selling it to a publisher or selling it to readers through self-publishing or however you wish to do it. There are so many steps that I think that's where a lot of people just won't finish it ever, because it's not just let me write a book, people will read it, great. It's let me write a book, let me publish it, let me go through all the legal stuff to make sure that I've published it correctly, and how do I present myself, what about the cover, how do I market it, who do I need to sell it to, how much money am I spending on this project, how am I going to get that money back, can I afford to do it? It's hard.
There are so many different processes with just writing the book in the first place, let alone publishing it. And you can, it's like writing the book, great, then you got to reread it, or in my case you've got to like reread as you go because you've forgotten what you've done.
Yep.
And then you've got to cry a little bit,
definitely tears,
and then you've got to write a bit more, and then you think you finished, and then you read it through and you're like, there's a plot bit missing here, right, let's sort that out. And then you cry again, and then by the time you've finished it, you've probably reread that manuscript about 20 times at least, back to front. And then you're sending it off and people have to critique it, and then that's nail biting because it's like, oh my god, what if they think it's absolute rubbish?
You also have to rehydrate because of all the crying.
Well, that too.
God.
And that's like just to get it to beta readers. So I do have another book coming out soon that is going to beta readers on Sunday, providing everything goes well. A couple of people have read the first 3 chapters and given critiques and stuff, which has been so helpful. Thank you for all those people who've done it so far.
Oh, that's nice.
And I always love reading the little comments. I'm a right sucker for comments of people just laughing at little bits and stuff like that, because but it's such a process just to get it to that stage. And there are so many people, when you talk about writing a book, they're like, oh, you just write it and then you publish it, and it's like, yeah, totally.
I'd be like, I don't. I've got extra steps, buddy.
Like, a lot more steps than that. And due to a couple of challenges I do have some extra steps as well.
Yeah.
And, because I don't write in order. I am the biggest pantser in the whole wide world. For those that do not know what pantsering in, you do not plan. I can't plan to save my life. Doesn't happen. And so I just fly by the seat of my pants and let the characters take me on a journey. And sometimes that journey is not where I want to go. But hell, it's where it's going.
It's where they want to go.
It's where they want to go. And then you end up at a point where it's like, yeah, but you haven't got from A to B here. Come on, let's can we get from A to B? And they're like, nah. And it's like, all right, thanks, great. I have to actually like write that bit now. Not saying I didn't write all of it, but it's just when the characters take you, you don't even notice that you're writing. Well, not for me anyway.
Well, that's when you go
Words
back
appear.
and you think, let me just read through this bit, and you're like, did I write that? Did I write that? I don't
There's
know.
that,
I
and
don't
then there's
remember.
also bits where you think you've got a fully like padded out scene with all the
Mm-hmm.
emotion and description and everything, and it's just 3 pages of dialogue. You're like, ah.
Because they wouldn't shut up.
Where's the emotion gone?
Oh, it's nowhere to be seen. I've died inside. No kidding.
No, you've just got floating heads talking. It's all fine.
So, what is the biggest challenge for you as a writer in the process of actually getting those ideas on paper?
um, I would say finishing.
Okay.
Um, because my writing process is squiffy, to say the least. So I end up with a beginning, middle, and end, which is
Okay.
great. Some people would say, "Oh, you finished them." No, 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 no. I've got a beginning, middle, and end. I haven't got the bits in between.
Okay.
And so my writing layers, and then I end up. It's almost like, do you remember the acetate of the overhead projectors at school?
I think about them sometimes. Yes. Why did
Yeah.
I say that? That's such a weird thing to say. I just very occasionally get memory of being asked to wheel
I'm
out the projector and putting the acetate on there,
yeah.
and then feeling like I was the absolute dog's bollocks for being able to
Oh
put that
yeah.
thing on the big screen.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
I just
But
regressed.
yeah,
I
so
keep doing that.
it's okay. So my writing is like that. So you start with the sheet of just like words, and then you end up with the acetate on top, and then another acetate on top, and it keeps layering until finally it turns into an actual scene and eventually a
Mm,
book. That
interesting.
final bit of acetate is the hardest thing in the world because it's the bit I don't want to write
Why don't you want to write it?
because it's boring.
Because it's boring. Is it because you
I mean,
have to
it's
give
not boring at
reason
the
behind your
end.
words?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting down to the
Yeah.
nitty
It's
gritty.
that. It's where you have to get the description in, and I am not a person for description because I
Okay.
am very much. I don't even know. I'm a fast-paced writer
Yeah.
and a fast-paced reader,
Hmm.
and when I'm reading, I don't necessarily read the description.
We're the same. We're the same person. I'm exactly
So,
the same.
so
It has
writing the
to.
description
Yeah.
is so hard because I don't read it. And I've had to make a conscious effort over the last 5 years
Hmm.
of reading description to get good at it.
Fascinating. You
And
and I
it's so
have a
hard.
very similar brain.
We do, don't we?
We do.
I don't
It's
know
kind of
if that's really
scary.
good or really dangerous.
Dangerous for the rest of the world. I don't know about us.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
fine. We're fine. We're just scatty. It's fine.
It's
Intelligent
cool, we're
scatty women.
scatty.
That's fine.
It's all good.
What I think is interesting about what you just said is that I too have to force myself to read descriptions of books,
Yeah.
or within books. And if I find myself doing it without having to concentrate, then they have reeled me in with a rhythm. I don't know. I don't know if this makes sense, but
No, I get you.
when you read something and it's got like a musical rhythm to it, and I don't know if anyone else is going to understand what I'm saying, but
I understand, and that's all that matters in this world.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad somebody, at least one person does. And if anybody else is listening to this, if you are the same and you're kind of a speed reader, and then you find yourself like walking down the cobblestone path and actually looking at the buildings and what people are wearing and why it's cold and what you can smell as you're reading the book, it means that that writer has done a phenomenal job for me of writing with rhythm. And I can't describe that. I'm sure there's going to be a technical term. I did not do well at school because I was easily distracted and ended up just
Oh,
not
yeah.
going into school a lot. But look at me now. I have a podcast, so fuck you, teachers. Anyway, so so I just think that's just interesting because I like to ask people how they write, and what they read and how they read,
Mm,
because sometimes they're very, very different. Because some people
yeah.
love to write really like gritty horror stuff, but they love reading like fluffy romance things,
Cozy romance,
or the
yeah.
other way around. And it's just interesting because to create something and to consume something is a very, very different act. and what excites us to give to the world is not necessarily what excites us to take from it. So yeah, I just
No,
fascinated
that's
that.
very, very true. Yeah,
Yeah, don't
yeah.
know really
No,
what that means.
no, but I totally get you, and I don't. I'm sure there's psychology behind why someone will like something that they read versus write very differently, or
Yeah.
that it's in tune with each other. I'd
Mm.
say as a writer and a reader, I write and read very, very similar things. So I don't know what that means about my psyche. Maybe I'm just really boring and
Or really cool.
don't. Or really cool.
I'm gonna go with really cool. I get the cool
Yeah, let's
vibe from
totally go
you.
with really cool.
Yeah, I'm into it. Officially, you're cool. I anoint you with coolness. Um, Pope Saffron.
Do I get a badge?
Honestly, I'll make you a badge if you want. I'll send you one. It'll just say "cool as a cucumber." I won't make it shaped like a cucumber in case it looks like a dick.
No, that might be a bit dodgy. Just
Do
a
you know what?
smidge.
Speaking of accidentally having things shaped like phallic objects, as I was creating like the flyers and the graphics for the website indiosyncrasy.com, go check it out, it's amazing. Um I didn't realize until I was too deep in it that a lot of the graphics look a bit penisy. We're just going
Oh, I
with it at
had
this
not
point.
noticed that.
It's
That's
not
fine, just go with
representative
it.
of the content. Well, the spicy
No,
and
your
steamy
content is
section is
very
penisy,
varied.
very varied. It is not intentionally penisy, but we're too far into it now. I'm not changing it. So
I'm gonna look for
um,
that now, you know that.
look for the penises within the.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of like some extreme horror and extreme erotica in there as well. So there you go.
So
Just be careful.
it totally matches, yeah.
Tread carefully. Anyway, might cut that bit out. So yeah. So originally you said that your Sovrano was going to be a werewolf romance, then turned into a mafia romance because you wanted to
Why
sort of
not?
change the basis of it. Do you have any Italian heritage or like fascination with the mafia at all, or because it's quite in depth in terms of like the hierarchy within the families, and I assume that continues with the trilogy. So how did you get to this point of like, I'm gonna deep dive into the mafia now?
I'm probably on a million watch lists.
Oh,
um,
that's funny.
there's obviously, as I said before, I grew up very much around Criminal Minds and
Mm-hmm.
CSI and things like that.
Yeah.
I studied um, kind of mafia and organised crime at
Mm-hmm.
uni, as well as serial killers.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did work, not with the mafia, but I did work with those who break the law.
Yes.
And now I don't. I work completely not in that sphere anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just ended up deep diving and I did a hell of a lot of research for the first book. Obviously, I have changed bits to ensure it, like, although it does emulate a lot of it, it emulates a lot more the London Underground than
Mm-hmm.
the Italian mafia, I will say. I used Italian mafia because, again, tall, dark, and handsome. We've got to
Mm-hmm.
have that in the book somewhere. Um, and I'm sorry, but Bob from Essex, no offense to any Bobs from Essex, doesn't quite have the same ring to it. So I did do a massive amount of research into mostly London Underground, but then a bit of the Italian mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does have that Romeo and Juliet aspect.
Mm. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and it has a lot of the Romeo and Juliet themes
Mm-hmm.
within. I hope it's meant
It
to.
does absolutely comes across. Mm-hmm.
And obviously you've got the three families.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so there's nothing really in my past that, I have no Italian heritage. I am English born and bred. The
Mm-hmm.
closest we have have French somewhere in about 1600s. But it was just around a village girl having her life turned upside down
Mm-hmm.
through secrets and history and some very, very good sex.
I mean, it sounded like it. She had a good time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ali had a great time. Um, so I've only read the first one, but does the well, again, if this gives away spoilers, you can tell me to fuck off or whatever. But
That's fine.
so with the rest of the series, do you carry on the same story as it progresses, or is it about a different family each time? What can the readers expect if they sort of dive into this series of books?
No, it does follow. So the trilogy follows Ali and Enzo
Mm-hmm.
throughout their journey. It is probably the rockiest romance you'll ever read, in respects of it ain't a happily ever after
Uh-huh.
straight away.
Uh-huh.
Um, and to be honest, you'll probably worry that if it ever turns into happily ever after. Um, the second book is different in respect of the darkness. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a turn because I will state, because it says it in the blog,
Mm-hmm.
the blurb, that's the word, that Ali is on the run, and her mental health takes a massive decline, as you could
Mm-hmm.
imagine. If you're on the run and you're scared and
Yeah.
you're moving every week, that is not going to do a good thing for your mental health.
Yeah.
And it does follow that journey, and the third one follows her attempting to leave even further.
Okay.
The first book is quite cutesy compared to the next two.
Okay. So it gets dark.
It gets dark. My favourite is the third, I have to
Okay.
admit. So I would say if anyone can stick out the second very dark book, read the third, because you'll want to after the ending of the second. Because I'm a sucker for cliffhangers. I'm so
Oh,
sorry, dear
it's
readers.
okay. At least there's a trilogy out by the time people will
Yeah.
hear you say that.
Yes. So
So
all three books are out. You can read. You can devour all three at once. It does come to a conclusion at the end, and you don't have to worry about any more books after the three.
that was going to be my next question. Okay, cool. So you're not going to leave people hanging like they did at the end of
No,
Dexter.
no. It is all wrapped up in a nice little bow at the end of
Excellent.
Ragello.
Cool.
And then the fourth book, although it's within the same universe, is not in the same series, so it follows the brother. So you don't have to have even read the trilogy to dive into Valentino, because it's completely separate.
So I know you're working on a book right now. What is it? Can you tell us? Are you allowed to? I
I
mean, you
can
are your
tell
own
you.
boss, but
I
are you
am my
letting
own
yourself?
boss. Yep, so her knight in Kevlar armour. So we have India finds herself in her car after her ex kicks her out,
Mm-hmm.
and blue lights flood her car as she's trying to find a place to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet Fox, who has decided that to make it his mission to protect her and care for her. So we've got a little bit of hero worship going on.
Okay.
And it actually turns out that India is in a hell of a lot more danger than either of them thought. So
Mm-hmm.
through them attempting to discover their love,
Mm-hmm.
and their lifestyle, let's say, because it does dive very lightly into BDSM.
Okay.
Very lightly. So we have the spankings and we've got the tying up. That is about it.
So how long have you been working on this one?
3 years.
Bloody hell!
I know. Yeah, so I started. Okay, so I am a serial work in progress person.
Okay.
I have 20 ongoing anywhere on time.
Bloody hell.
I have a problem.
You do. I don't want to judge.
Really
That's a
do.
problem, dude.
So her Night in Kevlar armour started around 2022 while I was
Okay.
writing the third book, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was while I was writing Ragello and Valentino and a couple more at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic also was amongst there, which is another book that's out, which is actually in the same series as this. So they are standalone books within one series.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Just so you can kind of dive in and kind of... So it's discovery of BDSM. So it's those that are... They might have dabbled, but they're actually experiencing it and trying to work it out. So we've got a lot of mistakes, and people just trying to work out how it works into their lives.
Okay.
So it is not a training manual. It is not for educational purposes. But it does kind of go through the rules and
Mhm.
how to enter the lifestyle.
I
Kind of
wondered what you were going to say when you said enter. I was like, ugh, okay, the lifestyle.
lifestyle. Let's keep
I was
this
like,
PG as
shit.
much as swearing allows. So yeah, so that's her Night Kevarama,
Cool.
which has been like all the books do take. They're about 3 years in the making because
Mm-hmm.
I work on multiple at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it looks like I publish a lot. That's because I started all these books 5 to 3 years ago.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
When Hanai Kavarama is released, as providing I
Mm-hmm.
don't start anything else, which is going to happen because let's face it, I'll have 23 work in progresses that will span probably the next 10 years of publishing.
Fascinating. Okay, I've got a question for you then. And again,
Mm-hmm.
you feel free to answer or not answer.
That's fine.
Are they all in similar realms of content, or have you got like short stories, or do you dabble in different genres, or do you go completely off your normal sort of
So I
vibe?
do dabble in different genres. I do have another stream
Mm-hmm.
that I publish on like Inkit, so
Mm-hmm.
free sites, and I do paranormal on there,
Oh, cool.
paranormal and fantasy. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got I want to say 8 books on there now. So they're all just fun paranormals that you can just dive into and don't have to worry
Mm-hmm.
about. I do seem to have a theme of trauma
Mm-hmm.
in my books. Don't know what that says about me. Daddy issues seem to be a problem too. Um, and and they are all under the romance genre. So
Yeah.
they may kind of dive into fantasy or paranormal or contemporary, but they all have the core of romance as a theme. But I don't just believe in having a book that has romance as the only plot.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine if you love that. Anyone loves that. That's absolutely fine. But I don't like to write that
That's fair.
because I want something else going on. I want something to keep readers wondering what on earth is going to happen next,
Mm-hmm.
and to be like, crap, I didn't see that coming.
I mean, it sounds like you're never going to run out of books to write, which is awesome. Do
No,
you
I'm
have
really
like
not.
specific goals for how many you want to release, or you just like when it's done, it's done, it's going to get out
Yes,
there?
when it's done, it's done.
Mm.
Obviously, I have kind of a general. I want to publish at least one a year,
Mm-hmm.
if not two. But if that doesn't happen, I don't kick myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like this is more a hobby, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Like if it turns into something more, great. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it has to turn into something more because at the end of the day, I just love writing, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it
Nice.
because I want to make money. Oh, I do want to make money. That's wrong. I'm not doing. I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it
Yeah.
because I really love the process of writing, and quite frankly, I need to get all the voices out of my head somehow, and get them down on page helps because otherwise they just don't shut up and they want their story told, and it's like, fine, I'll do it. That's how I end up hopping from 50 different scenes.
Mm. But that's
Because
again,
they
that's
should.
okay. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're finding out how the sausage is made, and that's really cool. But at the end of the day, people read the book as a standalone thing, and not everybody is going to be, listening to this podcast. I hope they do. That'll be nice. But
That would be
not
nice.
everybody's going to understand what happens in the background. All they're seeing is that thing that you present to them, and they can read. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting to know sort of what your creative process is and the difficulties that you find, because a lot of people say it's finishing the book. I
Yeah.
mean, cripes, mine is going through that phase at the moment where I'm just like, I know how it ends, and I know the fun
Yeah.
bits, but I don't know how to stitch them. I do know how to stitch them together. I just don't want to. But I know I
Yeah, I
have
get
to
you.
because I want
Yeah.
people to read it. I'm desperate for people to read it, but also
Yeah.
scared, frightened,
Yeah.
terrified.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm really not
I'm
ready.
terrified every book I release, and it's just. But it's that stitching together. It's getting
Mm,
each scene to actually be cohesive,
yeah.
and by the end, it is cohesive and it's a full working story.
Mm.
I hope. The reviews say it is, so let's go with that.
I mean, I understood what was going on and I enjoyed it and read it in 2 days. So I mean, you know, I think
At
you've done
least
all
it's a
right.
page turner.
Oh, it's so funny. It's been so lovely having you on the show today. It's nice to speak to somebody else who has a creative spaghetti brain, like myself, and it makes me feel slightly better that I am not alone. So thank you very
You're
much.
totally not alone. There's lots of people that have spaghetti brains, and some of us actually finish things.
Oh my gosh,
And you
I
will
love
be one of them.
you. Give me hope. You give me so
You
much
will.
hope, and it makes me happy.
If I can do
Um,
it, you can do it.
I believe
And
you. I will do it.
I've managed to finish 6. You can do it.
I can do one. I can do one.
You can do
It'll be
one.
fine.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for diving into your creativity and for talking to me about your books. Before I let you leave, sounds like you're a prisoner. You are now. Before I let you leave, where can our lovely listeners find you and your work?
So you can find me on most social media platforms
Mm-hmm.
under Jessica Locke or Jessica Locke author. I am on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Waterstones. So yeah, so do dive into Serrano if you are into medium dark romance.
Medium roast.
Medium roast. And have a look at the new book, Her Night in Cavalrama, which is not dark. It is just steamy romance.
Saucy.
Saucy.
Knight in saucy armor. Amazing. Well, thank you so much again. I will be putting
Thank
the
you for
links to
having
your
me.
work in the description of the episode. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully we can do this
Thank you
again
so
another time.
much. I would absolutely love it if you could have me again.
Oh, I'd love that. Okay, well, I'm going to say goodbye. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much too.